everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be starting yet another reading vlog for you guys, and today I'm actually going to be starting a little weekend reading vlog. I feel like it's been a while since I've done like just a weekend reading vlog. Obviously I've done vlogs that take place over like a week and a half or so, but today quite a time crunch for this vlog, so it's just gonna span 3 days. It should be pretty chill. This is actually the first day of my spring break as well, which is really nice, even though it doesn't really feel the same as it did in years past because I only have class 2 days a week, so like every week I have an extended break, but now I have an even more extended break. So that's nice. But I just have a couple of books that I've been wanting / needing to finish, so I figured we could just read a couple of them this weekend. Have a cozy time. So the only book that I have here, and the one book that I really need to finish this weekend, is A Reaper at the Gates by Sabaa Tahir. This is the Whispers and Words book club pick for March, and our live show is in how many days? Oh, it's like in 6 days. I still really need to finish this book so I can like have it done in time for the live show. This is the third book in the An Ember in the Ashes quartet. I've really been enjoying this series so far. It's a young adult Middle Eastern inspired fantasy series that is following our two main characters, going through just some of the most harrowing experiences I've read about in a YA series, let me tell you. But I also feel like it's really well done, and I'm honestly scared to see what is going to happen in this book because I hear that it just gets so brutal, and I don't know if I can take that right now. But the series is really well written, so I am still very much looking forward to getting into this one, seeing just what is in store for our characters. So this is book number 1. The second one I'm going to pick up from the library later, like in a little bit here, and we'll talk about that one after I get back. But before I get into going to the library, I do have a little bit of book mail that I did quickly want to show you because I got a little Amazon package that I did not order. So I thought I could, you know, I was gonna say unbox it, but I have already opened the box. But I have not unbagged it because it came gift wrapped, which I don't think I've ever gotten an Amazon package gift wrapped before. So this is quite an exciting moment. So I thought we could share it together. Should I read the note first? I'm gonna open the book and then I'll read the note, but this is an exciting moment. Oh, even the book is like wrapped in tissue paper. Wait, I know what this is. Wait, I'm so excited. Hang on. Okay, so the book we have here is Garlic and the Vampire by Bree Paulson. I put this on my Amazon wishlist because I read this from the library last October. I loved it so much. This is literally such a quintessential fall graphic novel in my mind now, and I do absolutely need to do a reread every year of it because it's adorable. But I'm so happy that I now have a copy of this. Who has allowed me to have a copy? Margaret, thank you so much, Margaret. They said, thank you for getting me out of my reading slump. I love all of your videos, from your New Zealand fan. That is so kind of you. I am so happy that I now have a copy of this for my collection. So I'm so glad that I was able to help you get out of your reading slump. So thank you so much for the book. Yay. Okay, so that is kind of all of the stuff that I think I have to share with you for this intro, probably. So I'm gonna go head to the library to pick up the book that I want to read in this vlog, and then probably a couple of others. I might have to do some browsing, obviously. And I will chat to you guys when I get back. returned from the library. Also, can I say the weather today? So good. So good. It's so chilly outside, and it has been unseasonably warm here recently, and I hate it so much. But today it's like a high of 35, which is like some of my favorite weather. I just love it when it's kind of like a biting cold outside, not necessarily when it's like 2 degrees, but like a nice 35 I can usually get into. And it also gave me an opportunity to wear my scarf that I made in my last vlog. It's so cozy. I love it so much. And that'll probably be the last time that I will be able to wear my scarf until like November, because it's a high of like 70 here tomorrow. I hate the Midwest weather so much, but it's fine. But anyway, weather tangent aside, I am back from the library, and I did pick up 3 books, and obviously we need to chat through them. So the first one that I picked up is actually the book that I'm hoping to read this weekend along with The Reaper at the Gates, and that is The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I read The 7-Year Slip a couple of weeks ago for a little video that I was doing for my Patreon, and I really ended up enjoying it. I did have some issues with it, but for the most part, I liked it. I liked the topics and themes that it was talking about, as well as the romance, so I decided I need to pick up some of Ashley Poston's other work. And this one has been recommended to me so many times, so I figured it was finally time that I actually pick it up and read it, because I'm pretty sure this is following our main character, who is a ghostwriter, and I believe she falls in love with like an actual ghost. And I just love the fact that Ashley Poston is writing these mainly contemporary romances, but they have a small bit of a magical element to them. I feel like that is like my perfect kind of romance that I want to read. So I knew I had to pick this one up really soon. I believe she also has a new book coming out in June that I am so excited about. I think it's called, I wrote it down, A Novel Love. There we go. And I think the main character ends up like going into a book in some form. I'm not 100% sure, but it sounds really good, and I'm super excited about that one. So I decided while I'm waiting for that, I should read this one because it sounds really fun. I've also been in the mood for a little bit of a romance recently, but I've also kind of been in like a fall spooky mood. And I thought like the ghost aspect of this could maybe satisfy that want a little bit as well. So this is the other book that I have on my TBR for this weekend, and I think I'm gonna start with this one. Sounds good, yeah. But I did also pick up 2 other books while I was at the library, so I'm gonna show you those 2. The first one of those being The Invocations by Crystal Sutherland. I read House of Hollow, also by Crystal Sutherland, last October. I read it for Vampathon, and I really ended up enjoying that book. It was so weird, but in the best possible way. So I heard that she had a new book coming out, and I've been seeing a couple of people reading it and really enjoying it, so I figured it was time for me to pick it up. And I do want to read this one soon, because as I said a moment ago, I'm in a bit of a fall spooky mood recently. So I thought this could also be a really good book to pick up and read right now. I have no clue what this is about though, to be honest. Although the tagline reads, 3 girls, 1 supernatural killer on the loose. Wow. I don't know what else I could really want from a story, you know what I'm saying? And then the last book I picked up because I saw Tori from Tori Between Pages talking about this book. I swear I get so many book recommendations from her. Anytime she says she likes a book, I'm like, well, I need to read it now. And that is Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. I believe this is kind of like a, I think it's like a fantasy romance maybe type of situation. And I've been meaning to read more things from T. Kingfisher because the couple of books that I have picked up from her I've liked, but I haven't absolutely adored. But I just know there's a T. Kingfisher book out there that I'm gonna be obsessed with. So obviously I need to keep trying books from her. And I figured Sword Heart seemed like a fun one. I think this is set in the world of maybe a different series, but I don't think you have to read that one before you read this one. Or I could be really wrong about that. If you know, let me know, but I think it'll be fine. So I'm really interested to see what I think of this one, and if maybe this is the T. Kingfisher book that I'm going to be absolutely obsessed with. I have no clue. We will have to find out. But those are the 3 books that I picked up from the library. As for my plans for the rest of the morning, I definitely want to get into The Dead Romantics a little bit, read a little bit, and see what I'm thinking of it, and then I will come back at you guys with an update in a bit. is quite a bit later, but I did want to give you guys kind of some initial thoughts and feelings on the Dead Romantics because I am now 75 pages into it. Not super far, but I feel like I'm far enough to kind of get a vibe of how I'm gonna feel about this story. And honestly, I think I'm really gonna like it. It seems so promising right now that if it lets me down, I will probably be severely disappointed. But basically, in this book, you're following our main character, Florence, who lives in New York City, and she is a ghostwriter for a very popular romance novelist. And in the beginning of the book, you see her kind of struggling with this deadline because she has this romance book that she needs to write. But recently, she went through a very honestly just traumatic and awful breakup, so she's kind of in a romance is dead mood, and she cannot find the motivation or inspiration to finish this book off. So right off the bat, she goes into her new editor's office, who she has not met before. Turns out it is a very fine man. I do have one complaint about this book though. She talks about how large this man is. She's just like Allie Hazelwood. I can't escape it. All of these men are just so tall. They're like obscenely tall and large, and I'm like, look, I was kind of into it at first, but maybe now I've had enough. But anyway, I digress. I can get over that. So she asks for this deadline. He's like, girl, no, you should have had this done months ago. So she's kind of struggling with all of that already, but then she gets a call from her mom saying that her dad has died from a heart attack, so she has to go home and kind of deal with all of that. And I knew that this book was going to deal with topics of grief like that. The 7-Year Slip also dealt with topics of grief, and I thought it was really well done in that book, so I feel like it's also going to be really well done in this book. And just the depiction of it, even so far, I just feel like the way that Ashley Poston writes about grief, thankfully I've never really experienced anything like this, but the way that Ashley Poston portrays the emotions that her main characters are going through when they are dealing with things like this, it's so raw. Like, honestly, it's already made me want to cry a couple of different times. So you have kind of all of these heavy things that our main character is dealing with, but this book also does have kind of a magical element to it, shall we say, and that is the fact that our main character Florence can actually see and talk to ghosts, which I love that so much. I just love the concept, and I cannot wait to see what Ashley Poston does with that as I progress through the book, because it just sounds so promising. Like, I think it's gonna be so good. But I do just love the kind of spooky vibe that inherently adds into this story. Florence's family also owns a funeral home, which is also very spooky, very creepy. I love it. And honestly, I feel like this is the perfect kind of book for me to pick up right now because obviously, unfortunately, it's spring. I don't really like spring that much. It's fine. But like, it's my third favorite season, you know? So I was wanting something a little bit spooky, but I don't necessarily want something with like an autumnal vibe to it. And I feel like this book is going to fulfill what I'm looking for really well. So I'm also really happy that I decided to pick this up now. But anyway, obviously after getting the news, she decides to fly home to her small town in South Carolina to be with her family. And they're in the funeral home, and she walks outside and she sees this ghost. She's not exactly sure who it is at first, but then she realizes that this is the ghost of her new hot editor. And that's kind of where I've stopped, because I feel like that's the general setup of the book, and I cannot wait to see where things are going to go from there. So needless to say, I'm really liking this one so far. I feel like I'm probably gonna like it more than the 7-Year Slip, and I really enjoyed that one. So this is quite exciting news. But honestly, I feel like Ashley Poston is going to be a go-to author for contemporary romances for me now, which is very exciting. But anyway, those are my initial thoughts on the book. But also, I do want to show you another book that I picked up from the library. I went out this afternoon and I saw that this hold was ready, so I kind of went and picked it up, and I'm so excited because my hold for A Tempest of Tea came in by Hafsa Faizal. This is like a YA fantasy that deals with vampires and tea houses and heists, basically. And it sounds amazing. And I've really been excited about this one. Ever since I heard it was coming out, I was like, I need to pick that one up. So I put my hold on it a couple of months ago, and thankfully I got it very quickly. So I'm hoping to read this soon. I really hope I can read this soon. Anyway, I think those are the couple of things that I wanted to tell you about in this update. I'm going to go read a bunch of the Dead Romantics, and I will probably catch up with you guys tomorrow morning. Okay, so it is Friday morning, I think. As you guys will have just seen, I decided to do a little bit of journaling this morning. I decided to do a very basic spread just because I wanted to do a new releases spread again. I know I should have made this at the beginning of the year, but I didn't. And then I realized there's so many books that I am quite excited about that are coming out in the coming months, but I couldn't remember them all. So I was like, what a better way to remember them than to make a new releases spread. So decided to work on that. I'm honestly shocked by the amount of things that are coming out in June. Like, I have 5 books written down here, but I feel like there are definitely more that are coming out, and I'm so excited about all of them. And I feel like some of these are also going to be really good for Summerween. Like 3 of them are kind of spooky, so I'm very excited for those as well. So just wanted to do a little journaling this morning, but really I'm here to give you guys an update on the Dead Romantics, because I have read quite a bit more of this since I last talked to you. I'm now on page 228, and I am continuing to really enjoy this book. The only problem with it is some of the humor, well, a lot of the humor in this book is not landing. Not in the slightest. I feel like it's a bit corny at times. And there are just like some things that are written, I'm like, why would you write that? I just don't like some of these things. Also, the main character let out a breath that she didn't know she was holding. I was like, girl, this book was written in 2022. You should have known better. And also, there are so many puns. And don't get me wrong, like a pun here or there I'm okay with. But there are so many puns in this book. I'm like, like, come on. But the thing is, I'm still really enjoying this story. Like, I'm having a really good time reading the book, but there are certain lines that kind of make me roll my eyes, but not enough to make me want to stop reading it, because I am still really liking it. Honestly, not a ton has really happened plot-wise since I last talked to you. Mainly, we've just been following Frances as she has been in her hometown, kind of dealing with seeing a lot of people from her past, and she's been kind of getting things ready for her father's funeral that is happening kind of at the end of this week, because he had a lot of final requests that he put in his will, and they're all kind of like ridiculous final requests. So she's been scrambling to figure out a way to fulfill all of those, so that's kind of what she's doing. But she's also been kind of growing closer to Ben, learning more about him, he's learning more about her, and I think it's so cute. Like, the romance is so cute. I also just love the concept of him being a ghost, although I'm scared. I'm scared to see how this book is going to conclude, because there are 2 ways that this could go, and I don't know if I'm going to be fully satisfied by either of them. But I feel like it really just depends on how they are executed, so I don't know. I have no clue how this is going to go down, but I'm definitely very excited to read the rest of this book. I think I have like 110 pages left or so, so I'm definitely planning on finishing this up this morning. Also, the weather has been so lovely and overcast. Stunning, beautiful. Perfect ambiance for reading this book, because this book does heavily deal with topics of death in many different ways. Obviously, we're following Frances as she is dealing with the grief of her father passing, but her family also works in a funeral home. She's just had a very spooky life in general. When she was 13, she used her powers of like talking to ghosts to solve a murder that happened in her town, and we're learning more about that as well. And I just feel like there's so many different aspects to this book that I'm really liking. It's very spooky, but it's still very much like contemporary romance, which is honestly exactly what I was looking for right now. So I feel like this was the perfect time for me to pick up this book, and I'm just really liking it. There are just a couple of things that I'm not 100% loving, but I'm still enjoying the rest of it so much that I really don't care about those other things too much. So yes, I'm gonna be finishing this up today, and I will give you my update on that later. But for now, I think I'm actually gonna go do a little bit of book shopping. Not much. Like, I don't want to buy too many books, but I want to do just like a little bit of book shopping, you know? So I think I'm gonna go to Half Price, just have a little wander around. As I said, the weather is stunning right now. It's beautiful and overcast, and I feel like it's the perfect day to go do some book shopping. So I'm going to go to Half Price. I'm going to come back and finish up the Dead Romantics, and then I will come back at you guys with my final update for the Dead Romantics. So it is now Saturday morning? I think it's Saturday morning. And I do have quite a few updates for you guys because I have finished a book, I've started a book, and I also picked up some books yesterday from half price. So I've got a lot of things to recap this morning. The first one that I want to talk about are the books that I ended up picking up from half price. Because I'm so happy about them. Like, this is such an unnecessary purchase. But at the same time, it is a very necessary purchase. Because sometime last year, I picked up this copy of Twilight. It is the mass market movie tie-in edition of it. And I was like, obviously I need this. And it never occurred to me that there would be movie tie-in editions for the other books in the series until it did. And then I was like, okay, absolutely, I need to collect these. So when I was in half price yesterday, I found two. So I have the one for New Moon, which cracks me up. Look at Edward on here, just absolutely going through it. Beautiful. And then I also picked up this copy of Eclipse, which is honestly such a choice. It's such a choice. But my favorite part of this book is that I didn't even realize that in Bella's face, like in her eye, is Edward and Jacob. Which one is this? Got Edward on the front and then Jacob's on the back. Who did this? I just want to know who did this because I think it's so funny. But honestly, I did not need to collect another set of the Twilight books. But also at the same time, I really did. So you already know that I will be acquiring the one for Breaking Dawn very soon. I found one on eBay for like $1.50 and I was like, you're mine, thank you. So those are the couple of books that I picked up from half price. They did, however, have a copy of Ship of Destiny by Robin Hobb, which I was so close to getting. And I'm still contemplating getting it, but it's the third book in the Live Ship Trader series, and I haven't even finished the Farseer trilogy. But it was the UK paperback, and I was like, I'm collecting the UK paperback. So like, I don't know if it's my best idea, but it is cheaper than it would be on Blackwell. So like, I don't know. I might do it later. I'm not sure, but that's like something I need to think about. Anyway, I do have two reading updates for you guys, so let's get into those really quickly. The first one that I have is that I finished The Dead Romantics. Honestly, this book was so close to being a 5-star because there are so many aspects to the story that I absolutely adored, and I will talk about those in a moment. But first I want to talk about why I didn't give it a 5-star, because I feel like I had the same issue with the 7-year slip, and that's the fact that these romances are very insta-lovey in my opinion, because I feel like in this book they have literally only known each other like a week. 1 week. It's like 7 days. Maybe not even that, I don't know. But by the end of the book they were like, oh my god, I love you. I was like, 7 days? After 7 days, you're telling somebody that you love them? Like, it's just way too soon. I was so on board for this romance. I thought it was really cute. The fact that he was a ghost, I was like, oh, so fun, so fun. But it was like the way that they were talking to each other after only knowing each other for 7 days. It just takes me out of the story because I'm like, that is way too soon. Like, that is way too soon. And like, I know it's a romance book and maybe I should just suspend my disbelief for a little bit, but I just can't even fathom it, frankly. So I just didn't love that part of it. And like I said, I had the same problem in the 7-year slip because in that book, they also had not known each other for that long. But the way that they were talking about each other, I was like, it's like you've known each other for like a year at least. I just feel like there should have been a larger passage of time in both of these books for me to really be on board with the romance. So I didn't love that. And then also the humor. There were just so many things said in this book that had me rolling my eyes. At one point she was describing Ben, who's like the love interest. And first of all, she calls him tall so many times. I know I said it earlier, but she just continued to keep doing it. And at one point she called him 6 foot sexy. I was like, never say that again, thank you. But the thing is, the rest of the book was so good. There were just like 2 aspects to it that I wasn't 100% sold on. But if those were there, I absolutely would have given this a 5-star. But as for some things that I really liked about this book, because there were quite a few of them, I really loved the overall spooky vibe of this book, and I think it's honestly perfect for this time of year if you want a spooky read for spring. Because this isn't really a book that I would recommend picking up in the fall because it doesn't have fall vibes, but it's still really spooky, and I think it takes place in early spring. So honestly, this is like exactly what I was looking for, because I'm very much in a I hate spring, I wish it was fall kind of mood. But this honestly kind of kept me in the spring mood a little bit while still giving me like a little bit of a spooky atmosphere that I was looking for, and it was kind of perfect. And I loved the fact that our main character could talk to ghosts, and kind of seeing what Ashley Poston did with that throughout the story I thought was really interesting, and it definitely kept me really engaged. Also, the fact that this family works in a funeral home very much contributed to the spooky vibe, which I really liked. I also kind of feel like this is the perfect setting for what our main character is going through, because she lost her father, so there's a lot of discussion about death in this book already. So I feel like it kind of just leaned into that a little bit more, and it allowed Ashley Poston to explore it in a different way, which I thought was really well done. And I also feel like this book was really good at kind of evoking a lot of different emotions from me, because overall this is a very poignant book. It deals heavily with topics of death and grief, but then you also have this ghost rom-com kind of thing happening at the same time. And I feel like it's a really good balance between allowing you to have those kind of happy moments with our main character, but also allowing you to kind of feel the sadder things that she's going through. And it's just a really interesting mix, and not something I necessarily would have thought I would have enjoyed, but I just really appreciated the way that it was done in this book. And overall, I just really, really liked it. So honestly, I think I might pick up my own physical copy of this book, because I would consider rereading this. Like, I just enjoyed it. If I can get past the humor, if I can suspend my disbelief for a little bit when we're talking about the end of this book, then I think it would be kind of perfect. There's book one down for the weekend. I would say this is very successful. This is a book that I've been meaning to read for such a long time, and the fact that I finally have picked it up and I really enjoyed it is amazing. And then this morning I also started the next and last book for this reading vlog. Obviously that is Reaper at the Gates by Zaba Tahir. I have made it up to page 44. So we're really making progress now. This book is like over 500 pages, I think. Let's see. No, it's, oh, actually, damn, I thought it was over 500 pages. It's only 456. 457. That's really good, because honestly, I'd really like to finish this book in this vlog, and this vlog is lasting until tomorrow morning. So like, I don't know how that's gonna go. We'll just see. I told myself this year that I would stop trying to like quickly read books for vlogs, but the thing with this book is I need to read this book quickly anyway, because our live show is coming up very soon. It's on Wednesday, so if anybody wants to join us, it hasn't happened yet. I think it'll be on my channel on Wednesday morning, so you should come join us if you read this book and you want to chat about it. But anyway, that's my own problem. But I did want to give you guys kind of my initial thoughts and feelings on this book. I feel like this book really got right into it. Like right off the bat, there was like a high stress situation going on for all three of the main characters that we're following. And I just feel like the dynamic between these three characters is only going to improve as the series progresses. So I'm just so incredibly intrigued to see what's about to go down in this book. I'm also really hoping that the kind of more fantasy elements kind of get into gear a little bit more in this book, because they've been present in the first two, but I feel like now that we've gotten further in the series, characters are finding out certain things, that we're gonna get a little bit more of that, because personally I haven't read a ton of Middle Eastern fantasy, if any. So I'm really interested to see what elements are going to be brought into this series and how they're going to be used, because I'm really liking what we've been getting so far. So yes, that's kind of initial thoughts on A Reaper at the Gates. I will come back at you guys a little bit later when I've made a decent amount of progress. Oh, I'm really close to part 2. That's fun. It's only 30 pages away. Honestly, I love it when books are split into parts. I always feel so accomplished when I get to a new part in a book. So sometimes when books don't have parts, I'm like, what's that about? You know? But anyway, I'm gonna get into reading this. I will talk to you guys later. Hello, hello. It is now Sunday morning. It is a beautiful and stunning, gloomy day outside. I woke up to the sound of rain on my roof. It was just beautiful, honestly. But I am here to give you guys a little bit of a reading update, and then I also do have a little bit of a crochet update because I started another very simple crochet project. If you guys watched my last vlog, you will know that I've already made a crochet scarf recently, and I love that one. But I decided that I wanted to make a lighter scarf, so I'm making one that is shorter and thinner than the last one. It's getting real twisty, hang on. Obviously, I'm making it in fall colors because why wouldn't I be making it in fall colors? And I'm just gonna keep it to these 3 colors. So, very excited about my new scarf. I also love crocheting scarves because it's just such a repetitive motion and it's really relaxing, very therapeutic, you know? So I thought I would show you that because I'm excited about it. But in more relevant news for the reading vlog, I do have quite a bit of an update for you guys on A Reaper at the Gates because I read a lot of this book yesterday. So I made it up to page 319. I think I just recently made it to part 3. So I'm about 3/4 of the way through the book, I'd say, maybe a little bit less. And I'm really liking this one, but I'm probably really only liking it about as much as I was liking the first and the second ones, which is a lot, but it's not as much as I was hoping it would be. I was kind of hoping that as the series progressed, I would give the books higher and higher ratings, but I'm kind of finding them to be pretty much equal overall so far, in that it's kind of a very strong 4-star series for me. And I think the main reason why it's not a series that I 100% love is the characters, because I really do enjoy the characters. I think their stories are very compelling. I think they're really well written, but just something about them I don't 100% connect with. And I do think that's kind of impacting my overall experience while reading this series. But that's not to say that I don't appreciate them as characters, because I definitely feel for all of the things that they are going through. And I think the way that they are written does evoke a lot of emotion from me and from readers in general. But there's just something about them that I'm not just like obsessed with. I don't know. And it makes me really sad because there's so many other aspects to this series that are absolutely phenomenal. I feel like Sabatihir's writing is honestly top tier. There's just some lines in this series that I'm like they really just hit you, and it's very impactful. The plot is super fast paced and it's also really well paced. I think for the most part, there's also a lot of good character development going on, but it's just the characters themselves, I just don't know what it is. I think overall in this book, I'm definitely appreciating Helene's story the most because I think you're starting to get a lot more of her in this book. And you did get some points of view from her in the last book, but I think this one is really where you're getting to know her and you're really starting to see the internal struggle that she's going through. Because in the very beginning of the series, she's very much like for the Empire, like she supports them and everything they do. She can't even see why anybody wouldn't be for the Empire. But as she starts to become more of an essential part of the Empire and she's more embroiled in the more important things that are going on, she's starting to realize that like they suck. So I think the kind of back and forth that you see her going through is really fascinating, and I'm very intrigued to see where she's going to end up at the end of this series, because there are a lot of different reasons as to why she cannot leave the current position that she has in the Empire. So I think so far she has like the most room for character development, which is probably why I'm appreciating her story in this book specifically so much. But I have also been really liking Laia and Elias's stories in this book as well. There's just something that just happened in Laia's point of view that kind of, it shakes things up in this series a lot, honestly. And I'm glad that we got this piece of information. I'm not happy about it, but I think it kind of adds some interest back into Laia's story, because I kind of felt like her progression was getting a little bit flat almost. It was kind of feeling a bit one note for a while. Like she's just on her mission to take down the Empire, free the scholars, that kind of thing. I was like, girl, I am all for that. I'm totally behind you, but I just wish there was like a little bit more going on. But I think this piece of information being kind of dropped in there definitely is going to impact her a lot. And I'm interested to see how things are going to play out now that she knows this information. In Elias's story in this series, I just don't 100% love where it went. Like, it's interesting and I feel like I should really like it, but just something about it I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. But I'm definitely also intrigued to see kind of where he's going to end up at the end of the series. Also a little bit scared. But I'm also a bit scared for all of the characters, so nothing new there, I guess. Also, I have been appreciating the more main side characters that are in this series throughout this book as well. I feel like the characters are all really well written, and I think even the side characters get the time they need to kind of develop them as characters and make you intrigued in their story as well. So getting to know more about the Commandant, Marcus, Darren, and even like Harper, who is kind of coming into Helene's story a little bit more, they're all just really intriguing, and kind of seeing their dynamics with the three main characters are also really interesting. So there's so many things in this series that I love and appreciate so much, but there are also just, it's just something about the three main characters that we're following that I'm not like obsessed with in the way that I'm obsessed with a lot of other characters, you know? So those are kind of my thoughts so far on A Reaper at the Gates. I think I have like 130 or so pages left, so I'm gonna be finishing this up this morning. I'm a little bit scared to see how things are gonna go, because I feel like the bits of information that we've already gotten in this book feel like end of the book reveals, but they did not happen at the end of the book. So I'm like, what's gonna be the end of the book reveal in this one? I don't know, but I feel like it's gonna be good. I am really glad that I saved this one until the end of the month, because I feel like because this is the penultimate book in this series, it is going to end up on a cliffhanger. So at least I can start A Sky Beyond the Storm very soon, because I feel like I'm gonna need to know what happens. So anyway, I'm going to go finish up this book, probably go through a little bit of pain, you know, and I'll get back to you guys later. So I just finished up A Reaper at the Gates. Some things are happening, man. A lot of things are happening. I don't think the ending of this book was quite as cliffhangery as I was expecting it to be, but I think there are a lot of things that happened throughout this book that we haven't seen a resolution to that are still making me immensely intrigued and picking up A Sky Beyond the Storm very soon. I think this book did a good job at escalating the conflict that is going on in this world while still being able to focus on our characters and like the personal struggles that they're going through. And I frankly cannot wait to get into the last book to see where our characters are going to end up at the end of the series. Because for the most part, they're all in just awful positions right now. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of action-packed things happening in the last book that are going to kind of get them out of those positions, potentially. I also think there was a lot of interesting information that we learned in this book, and overall, I just really liked it. I feel like that is maybe all I'm gonna say about it for now, because I don't want to like spoil anything. But overall, I would just say this was a really good installment in the series, and I cannot wait to read the last one in April. So yeah, there's A Reaper at the Gates. I think before I end off this vlog, I'm gonna go do a little bit of updating in my reading journal, and then I will come back at you guys with the proper outro. So I just finished updating my reading journal and it is finally time for me to come back and officially end the vlog. So obviously I ended up reading 2 books this weekend, the first one being The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I loved this book, to be honest, aside from my couple of critiques on it. Literally aside from those, this was like the perfect book for me. And I, again, still really want to get a physical copy because I will be rereading this at some point. And then obviously I finished A Reaper at the Gates. I feel like I didn't do a great job of talking about it when I first finished it, but I just like, I don't know what to say that's not going to be a spoiler. So like, if you've read this book and you want to hear more in-depth thoughts on it, me and Cass are having the live show for this on my channel on Wednesday morning at like 10, I think. So if you would like to come join us, you totally can. But if you can't make it, a recording of the live show will be on my channel after the fact, if you just want to come in and hear what we had to say. So yeah, there's that. I'm so glad that I finished both of these because they are books that I've been needing / wanting to read. So we definitely had different vibes going on with the 2 books that I picked up, but also they are alike in more ways than you may think. And I'll leave you to chew on that. I also feel like it's been so long since I've done a weekend reading vlog because my weekends currently are like 5 days long, so I have a really long time to film the reading vlog and sometimes I kind of like push things off. But having like a smaller span of time to read books is kind of nice in a way. I don't know. I liked filming this vlog a lot, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy, I would love to know down below if you have read either of the 2 books that I read in this vlog. I would honestly love to chat about these because I really enjoyed both of them. And if you haven't read them, obviously tell me anything you would want to tell me. I am absolutely all ears. Also, before we go, I did want to thank everybody over on my Patreon. Love you guys so much. If you guys are ever looking for more content from me, that is always linked down below. We do some fun stuff over there. I do journaling content. We do a monthly buddy read. For March, we are actually reading, it's right here, so that's handy, Feybound, which I'm really excited about. I'm gonna start this in a few days and hopefully it'll be really good. So if you want to check it out, you totally can. But with that, I am now going to let you guys go. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your Monday or whatever day it is that you are watching this video. And I will see you all in my next one.